Hello and welcome back. In a previous video, we talked about how to pick your flute and how to transpose. So when it comes to transposing, you have two options. One is transposing the instrument or transposing the song. That's what we discussed in a previous video. And transposing the instrument simply means that you keep playing with your standard root and you just keep playing the same way, and you drop this flute and then switch that flute for another flute. So you essentially transpose the instrument, which is the same as on the keyboard they press a couple of buttons saying higher octaves or higher semitones or lower semitones, and that's it. They transpose the instrument. The equivalent is you just drop the flute and then replace it with another flute. That's transposing your flute. Now the other option, the alternative, is you could transpose the song, which means instead of playing the song here, or rather placing the root note here, you may want to place the root note here, right, differently. So essentially you're transposing the song in doing that way. Why would you do that? You would do that if you find that placing the root note here gives you a much nicer modulation than placing the root note here. And what we mean by that is, since you have to jump from all open to all closed, and that's going to create a lot of disconnect in your song, and also because sometimes you're going to do your half notes, and based on the tune of the song and the placing of the half notes, maybe root here or somewhere else is giving you a much nicer modulation than your standard root. Okay, so that's why you have a floating root scenario. Now, if you are in an orchestra and you're going to play, and the orchestra says, sorry, we're just changing the scale and now we're going to play this, instead of C, we're going to play this E. Okay, then you got this problem of selecting your flute and also selecting where you want to place your root and conforming to the scale the orchestra is choosing, right? So if I take this one song, right, I can play this, let's say, on two different ways, right? So let's first place the root note here and then try this. That's the root note here. How about I place the root note here, for example, right? So the flute is the same, but I changed the root note from here to here, and I've got a different orchestral scale, right? So that's what is possible. So you have a collection of flutes, and the orchestra wants to sing at a particular location, at a particular scale, and you want to pick your root note as well as your flute. That's your challenge. So in this challenge, we've got three variables, right? One is the natural root of the flute. Then 2 is where you want to place your root. 3 is the orchestral scale. These 3 are your variables. So how do you solve this equation of these 3 variables and select the right flute? And to solve that problem, I have created this small handy tool, and I'm going to explain how this tool works and how we can use this to solve this equation. The first scenario I want to talk about is, let's say you already picked your root. So in this scenario, I've already picked my root, and I want to place my root at this 5 holes closed position. So I want to come all the way here, and that's my root position. Let's say that's what I like because that gives me the best modulation. Now, given that I have picked my root, how do I get the other points answered? So let's first of all observe this tool. you have two rings. One is the outer ring and it has all the numbers from A to G sharp. Okay, so those are your scale numbers. And then your inner ring is your number of fingers and it goes from 0 to 6. Okay, which means 0 means 0 holes closed, which means all holes open, and 6 means 6 holes closed, which is all holes closed, and 3 means 3 holes closed, which is your standard Hindustani flute root. So this is your finger pattern and the outer is your scales. Now I've picked my root note to be at 5, which means out of my 3 variables, I've already fixed 1 variable, which is where do I place my root note. So 5 is my root position. So this is fixed already for me. Okay. Now that this is fixed, then what's my second variable? The orchestra, right? So I would ask the orchestra, where do you want to play this song? And they're saying, we want to play this on F, let's say. Then I need to align this 5 with F. Okay, so you see the alignment, 5 is aligned with F. So 2 of my variables are fixed. Now I need to answer the question, which standard scale flute should I pick up for this song, right? And if my standard root is 3 holes closed, then I would see where my 3 holes line is aligned. Okay, so my 3 hole line is aligned with G sharp. So for this song, I need to pick a G sharp flute given my 2 variables, right? That's how this tool works. Now, since you have 3 variables, you can fix any 2 variables and pick the 3rd variable. So for example, if you want to play the song at root 5 and you want to play that on a flute that is actually the standard root of that is C. So you have fixed your second variable, which is the flute. You want to pick a C. So you want to align your standard pitch, which is 3, with C. Let's align 3 with C. So that is done. Okay. Now you want to play this song with root at 5. Here, your 5 fingers. And the other variable is now A, which means you're saying, orchestra, please play this song in A, because given my flutes and given my fingering, I can only play A right now, right? That's your second scenario. You can also work on the third scenario where you fix on the flute and then the orchestral scale is fixed, and you need to figure out where you need to place the root. Okay, you can also do that. So that's how, given any 2 variables, you can pick the 3rd variable out of that and move on. Now, why is this helpful? You can obviously do this in your head. You can do this calculation in your head and come up with the same answer. However, if you've got multiple flutes and you've got multiple playing options and the orchestra is quickly changing the scales on you, or they're throwing options at you, and all the digital people are just simply able to transpose the song by a press of a few keys, and here you are dealing with an analog instrument and a very sensitive instrument, and you need to pick the right root and right flute. So under that pressure, when you want to try a few options quickly and you want to come to the answers quickly, that's when this flute ring is very helpful. And this is something I don't think this is there prior to this. I've never seen something like this, and I've created this on my own by drawing these things, just following the mathematical relationship between the notes and the notes distribution on a flute. Hope you like this and you can make one of these yourself at home and use it in your daily music life. Thank you very much for watching.